This team is an absolute disgrace to the college football world. This historic rivalry, yes, this historic rivalry, we've won once since 2003. And we've won one Big Ten championship since the 2004 season. And now we're seriously thinking about giving Jim Harbaugh a 6-year extension? Golly. Well, this season's over. At least I have, the Detroit Red Wings. One of the best franchises in the NHL. I mean, we've won, 12 Stanley Cups? We made 25 consecutive playoffs? Wait a minute. Oh, that's right. This isn't 2015 anymore. This is 2020. Aside of all the other terrible things that have happened in 2020, the Red Wings are now one of the worst teams in the NHL. Well, the season starts, but I don't think this is a team to get too excited about. Golly. What other teams do I have? Let's see what else I have in my arsenal. Aha! The Detroit Tigers. Oh, wait. You mean the team that lost in the ALDS in 2014 despite having Miguel Cabrera, Justin Verlander, David Price, Max Scherzer, and all these other MVP caliber players? Yeah. This team ain't it either. Golly. What else do we have? This next one's got to be better. I'm not even going to say anything about this team. This is an embarrassment. So which of my teams is actually going to start winning something? Man, had it with the losing. There's got to be some team here that's won a lot. Oh, that's right. There is a team. There is hope. 2020 isn't the apocalypse. And it's not the end of sports in this state because there is one team that is championship worthy. Let's go blue, baby. All right, guys, so I was really debating, what I should talk about today because, despite all our teams sucking, there really is a whole lot to talk about. The Lions season just ended. Now it's time to really start looking at GM candidates that we can start interviewing. They've interviewed a couple of guys from Seattle and from Pittsburgh, which, I think is a good place to look. Might as well see. We could talk about Michigan football potentially extending Jim Harbaugh for 6 years, and you could hear me yell and scream, but I'm not going to do anything with that. We could talk about the Pistons and their fountain of youth. We could talk about the Red Wings. Their season is starting next week. Then it occurred to me, the one team in my lifetime, at least since I've watched sports, that's really been a winner is Michigan basketball. And boy, oh boy, are they fun to watch. And I think Michigan basketball is a great fan base, but it really is a shame they don't get enough attention from the local media around here, or the national media for that matter. But I just wanted to talk about, the win against Northwestern, really where I think this team can go, because man, oh man, they've got some great pieces, and I think this is a really exciting team to watch. And that's not a hyperbole. I think this team is good enough to win it all, but they have to clean up a few things. So let's go over what happened last night. Michigan defeated Northwestern by 19. Really, the score really should have been more of a blowout, but Michigan put in their bench with about 4 minutes left, gave the guys some playing time. Really, Michigan could have won by 40 if they really wanted to. It was an absolute domination of a very good Northwestern basketball team. Northwestern was really good at shooting threes. They didn't hit barely any. Pretty much Michigan outplayed Northwestern in every way possible. U of M had 5 players in double figures. Franz Wagner with a double-double and also 5 blocks. 12 made three-pointers, out-rebounded Northwestern 42-28. I mean, that probably might have been the most complete performance I've seen from a Michigan basketball team really in my entire life. And that's saying something because U of M's had some pretty darn good teams. I've never seen a team able to dominate so much on the inside, while at the same time shoot so many threes, play great perimeter defense, and play great interior defense, and also have 5 guys that can score the basketball, pass the ball really well, play great defense. The fact is this team could be really, really, really good. But I think we all know that this offense really centers around Hunter Dickinson. Wow, what a beast. I mean, the dude is a freshman from DeMatha, and if you told me he was a freshman, I would have said you were crazy. he's honestly maybe the first one and done I've ever seen at U of M. I think he's better than Brazdakis personally, who was also a one and done. Um, but he's not coming back next year, and I wouldn't either if I were him. He's a complete force to be reckoned with. You know, 7 foot tall. Every time he grabs the ball, it seems to just be either an automatic bucket or he kicks it out to a wide open guy because he's being double teamed. So there's no question the team has gotten a lot better because of Hunter Dickinson. But I got to give the other guys credit too. You know, Livers and Wagner were really struggling before the season, but Wagner has really picked it up. That's now 3 games in a row scoring 14 points, and he's become a force also on the glass and on the defensive end as well. You know, 5 blocks yesterday, 10 rebounds. He's the kind of guy, if he plays well, this team could go really far. If he doesn't play well, you know, this team won't reach its full potential. So he's that important of a player to this team. So, I mean, I just gave a whole lot of praise to this program, but I want to talk about now, how far can this team go realistically? Is it time to start hoping for a national championship? Is it time to start, you know, expecting the Big Ten championship? Or is this a little bit too premature because Michigan hasn't played anybody that great, as opposed to Northwestern, which we don't even know if they're that great personally. Without question, Michigan was not great at the start of the season. Played a very weak schedule. Bowling Green, Oakland, you know, had a close one with Oakland. But I'll tell you what. Ever since this team has let Hunter Dickinson take over, it's been a whole new ball game. I mean, it's just unbelievable how much the floor spacing has improved. You know, I think Hunter Dickinson allows the guards like, you know, Eli Brooks and Mike Smith to dribble drive, get some space around, and then find open guys for threes or drive it in for a layup or dish it out to Hunter Dickinson and he'll just dunk it. So, I mean, Dickinson has really improved the floor spacing that much because, you know, guys are having to double team him swiping for the ball all the time. That's going to leave other guys open. So, the fact of the matter is, ever since we've centered this offense around Hunter Dickinson, it's been a whole new ball game. This offense looks like one of the best in college basketball, and it's made our guards look a lot better. But of course, with as good as we've been playing, you know, we're 9-0, but there's going to come a point down the road where we're going to get challenged, and I'd say this is my biggest concern for Michigan. Once they face a great guard or a great forward, like Luka Garza, you know, they're not going to be able to double team down low. And that might impact the perimeter defense. The fact is, Hunter Dickinson and Franz are so good on the defensive end, you know, they don't really have to do a whole lot of double teaming. But the fact of the matter is, you leave anybody one-on-one with Luka Garza, he's going to go for 30 or 40. I mean, last year he scored like 50 against us twice. I mean, he's an absolute beast. And there's plenty of guys in the Big Ten, you know, not quite as good as Garza, of course, but, you know, can get the ball down in the post and score on a consistent level. So that's my biggest concern. You know, our perimeter defense has looked really good because the guards, you know, haven't really been too challenged too much, you know, having to double team down low in the post. But now that's not going to happen. And what's going to do is, you know, as they are going to have to go after Garza, we're also going to have to defend the perimeter as well. And that's going to be really, really tricky. And, you know, Michigan's interior defense, too, last year really struggled once they faced elite big men, which, you know, in their upcoming schedule, they're gonna get a fair share of that. So to me, that's really the concern, at least on the defensive end. And then on the offensive end, the one flaw about this team is they turn the ball over way, way too much. Especially considering that we haven't played great competition. We've had a lot of unforced errors. You know, maybe you turn the ball over 3 times in the first minute against Northwestern. You know, it's a 4-0 game. You can overcome that. Against Iowa or Minnesota or Wisconsin, it might be a 12-0 game. And next thing you know, you're pretty much, you know, in the 8 ball. You're having to work your way out. So that has got to get cleaned up. I know we want to play with a faster style, faster pace, but the truth is we really don't get that many transition buckets. You know, I wouldn't mind if we slowed it down a little bit. Because, you know, our best offense, honestly, has been our half court offense. We're not like Arkansas in 1998, they can play the full court press. You know, we don't just sprint up and down the floor, get easy buckets, easy buckets. I think it's a good mentality to have. Don't get me wrong, but Michigan, John Beilein's teams were built to be a little bit more methodical on the court, and that's why they didn't turn the ball over, and that's why they won a lot of games. So I think that's an adjustment Michigan might want to make, and that's something Juwan Howard might want to think about. So here's what I think. This next game is going to tell us a whole lot about Michigan basketball. It's going to tell us whether we're contenders or pretenders. U of M's next game is against U of M, the University of Minnesota, on the 6th. And I mentioned, when are we going to face an elite big man, and also face an elite three-point shooting team? Well, Minnesota is exactly that. They're the best three-point shooting team in the Big Ten, and they also have one of the best centers in college basketball. Liam Robbins, my gosh, what a beast. Go watch his highlights against Ohio State. He scored 27 points. The dude was just throwing stuff up, and it was going in. I mean, it was unbelievable. But the fact of the matter is, Dickinson's going to have his hands full. This is really going to test his ability defensively, and the guards have got to be careful, of helping. I'd honestly err on the side of, see how Dickinson does early, and then if he's struggling, we got to help out. But the problem is, we help out, Minnesota is open for threes, and they're excellent hitting them. So this is going to be a real test about, can Michigan, or is everybody on Michigan's front starting five better than other teams' starting fives? Because Minnesota's starting five is pretty darn good too. So that's going to be a real test. And if Michigan can do these things, I think they will beat Minnesota, and I think they could potentially be a 1 seed and win the Big Ten. But here's the keys. U of M has got to be able to defend the inside without committing too many men. Yes, that means I'm calling out Hunter Dickinson, Brandon Johns, and Franz Wagner. You got to win your one-on-one matchups defensively, because now we're getting into the heat of play. The guards, Eli Brooks, Mike Smith, they can't come out and help you anymore because their guys are just going to hit threes. This is a conference with elite competition, and these guys aren't going to miss open threes. Maybe Penn State and Northwestern will, but I'm telling you, Wisconsin's not going to miss them. Minnesota's not going to miss them. So we got to win those one-on-one battles defensively. I'm not talking about holding Luka Garza to 5 points. That's impossible. That's just not going to happen. But, if we can neutralize him, we can find ways, maybe play a little bit of zone. If Michigan can play some great zone, I think that would help too. But they got to mix it up a little bit because, in the coming weeks, they're not going to be able to help out as much on big men. And I think the real key for this team, my second point where Michigan could be an elite team, is Franz Wagner. So if Franz can continue to play at a high level, the floor spacing will continue to be amazing, like it's been the first 9 games of the year. He's got to continue to hit his threes, be a presence on the inside. And, if he can make threes, he can also dribble drive to the rim. That's really the big thing, is he's got to play well so he can keep the spacing good. Hunter Dickinson is awesome, but he can only do so much. And, teams are going to start double teaming him. You got to be able to hit your threes. And you also got to be able to take advantage of open space on the court when you see it, because that's just the way it's going to be. And, will it be different? Are they going to have Luka Garza one-on-one with Dickinson? That brings me to my third point. So if Dickinson can be guarded one-on-one by anybody, even, Luka Garza could probably do it. Liam Roberts might be able to do it. They'll probably just do a one-on-one there. It's going to be a lot tougher for these guards. That means Mike Smith, Eli Brooks, they're going to have to be able to beat guys off the dribble. There's not going to be as much open space on the floor. The thing that concerns me is they really struggled with that the first few games, driving to the rim consistently, getting easy layups. The past few weeks have been a lot better, but I think that has partly to do with Hunter Dickinson really becoming part of the mix. Now, if you one-on-one Dickinson and he's not dominating the game like usual, you got to be able to make some space. You got to be able to drive to the rim, because if you don't, we're not going to have any offense. I think, and I think that was kind of the problem with Michigan the last 2 or 3 years is, when we didn't have an elite big man, or I'd say the last 2 years because we had before we had Mo Wagner, but the years we had Teskey, who was really good, but not quite as good as some of the other forwards in the Big Ten. We really struggled with shooting. We struggled with getting to the rim and firing up shots. So, if Hunter Dickinson gets neutralized, we got to be able to do that, because that's been our Achilles heel the past few years, consistently getting guards that can drive to the rim and, create some open looks. Early in Beilein's career, it was the opposite. Trey Burke would just drive, get an open three. Brooks and Smith have got to be able to beat guys and get to the rim. So if Michigan can do those three things, continue to be excellent defensively, get good performances from Franz Wagner, and they're able to drive to the rim with their guards, Michigan should be able to win the Big Ten. And Michigan could be a 1 or 2 seed in the tournament. And the tournament is a crapshoot. But it definitely helps to get better seeding. And, let's say none of that stuff happens. Let's say Mike Smith and Eli Brooks, they just get absolutely destroyed at the three-point line, can't go anywhere, They help way too much on the inside, then they leave guys open for three, and it's a complete disaster. And Franz goes on another cold spell. Let's say those three things happen. I still think this is a good team, because they still have great playmakers. They have a good bench with, Shonde Brown. Brandon Johns is okay as a reserve guy. This team still should be able to make the NCAA tournament. I'd say if they don't do these things, they'll probably finish 18-6, 17-7. And we'll go 16-8 because, the level of competition is getting a lot better. So they'll probably go 16-8. That would mean they go like 7-8 or about 500 in the next few games. I don't see this team being a super below 500 Big Ten team, to be completely honest with you. So I still think even if that doesn't happen, we still have a lot going our way. But I think that's the key. If this team is serious about winning a championship this season, I'm not even talking about the future. The future is loaded. Oh my gosh, we got the #1 recruiting class next year. I mean, Juwan Howard is building a championship level program. Beilein got us there, and I think Howard's the kind of guy that can win us one, which is extremely hard to do in college basketball, the way the tournament is set up. Michigan could be the next Kentucky with getting one and dones and stuff. But for this team in particular, if this team is serious about winning a championship, they got to do those three things I mentioned above. And I cannot wait for this Minnesota game. It's going to be a great test. And same with the Iowa game. The whole Big Ten, even Michigan State, who has struggled a little bit lately, they're not going to be a pushover, and they have great players as well. So, I'm super excited about tomorrow, about the game on the 6th. If we kick butt, man, they got to rank us higher than 10th. I'm going to tell you. They can't blame our strength of schedule anymore, so that's the way it is. All right, thank you guys for watching. I want to make some videos about the Lions and Michigan football, coming up, but I want to wait for some big news to break out because, reports are that Michigan's close to extending Jim Harbaugh, and you can probably guess how I'm going to react to that. The Lions looking at a GM. Now that the season's over, they can do a lot more work. There's just a lot going on, and you got the Red Wings too, their season starting. So, I'll get into some of that stuff, but I really want to give some attention to Michigan basketball because they have been tremendous this decade, and they have not gotten enough respect. They've been one of the 5 best programs in college basketball. They've been absolutely terrific, and now they're finally starting to get those one-and-done NBA players, and Hunter Dickinson is just the first of many in the Juwan Howard era. All right, thank you all for watching. Go Blue, and we'll see you next time.